There is a man living inside you who is quietly destroying your future. He prefers comfort over conquest, excuses over discipline, distraction over purpose. He smiles when you postpone hard decisions. He whispers that tomorrow will be different while ensuring nothing changes today. Most men never meet their true enemy because they spend their lives fighting circumstances instead of confronting themselves. Strength does not begin when the world respects you. It begins when you refuse to tolerate your own decay. Every generation is tested by war, famine, or chaos. Ours is tested by comfort, and comfort has buried stronger men than battle ever did. Most men believe improvement is a matter of addition, more knowledge, more money, more opportunity. They collect habits like tools, hoping one of them will finally change their lives. But history teaches a harsher law. Nothing new survives inside a man who refuses to bury what is corrupt. The warrior traditions of old did not begin with training. They began with separation. A line was drawn between who the man had been and who he was permitted to become. Scripture describes this as death before resurrection. Philosophers called it purification, soldiers call it initiation. Different language, same truth. Dominion is never granted to the comfortable version of you. Something must end first. Not your ambition, not your compassion, the counterfeit self that negotiates with weakness. Law 1, self-command before authority. Every man desires influence. He wants respect in his home, weight in his words, gravity in his presence. Yet authority is never granted to the man who cannot govern himself. Dominion begins where appetite ends. Hunger, anger, desire, fatigue, these are not enemies, but they become tyrants when left without command. The man ruled by impulse is already conquered long before another opponent appears. Ancient orders understood this. Before a sword was placed in a man's hand, silence was placed in his mouth. Before leadership, restraint. Because power without self-command always collapses into cruelty or cowardice. One lashes out, the other withdraws. Both reveal the same weakness, reaction instead of decision. The old man inside you negotiates constantly. He bargains with comfort. One more hour scrolling, one more excuse to avoid confrontation, one more delay before beginning what must be done. He survives through small permissions, not dramatic failures, quiet compromises repeated daily until discipline becomes unfamiliar. Self-command is not emotionlessness, it is alignment, the ability to feel anger without becoming reckless, desire without becoming enslaved, fear without surrendering direction. A man who governs his reactions becomes unpredictable to chaos because chaos feeds on disorder. This is why the strongest men often appear calm, not passive, contained. Their strength is stored, not displayed. When they speak, words carry weight because silence has trained them first. The figure many recognize as Christ stands here not as fragile symbolism, but as controlled force. Provoked publicly, betrayed privately, surrounded by pressure designed to fracture him, yet never manipulated into abandoning purpose. Strength that refuses panic becomes authority without announcement. If you cannot command your mornings, your speech, your habits, your gaze, or your temper, no external victory will remain stable. The first throne you must conquer is internal. Kill the man who obeys every impulse, and the man capable of dominion finally stands up. Law 2. Honor through responsibility. Honor is no longer fashionable. The modern world prefers convenience, flexibility, and endless escape routes. Yet every man knows, somewhere beneath distraction, that dignity grows only where responsibility is accepted without negotiation. Authority is not proven by control over others. It is proven by what a man willingly carries. The old man avoids weight. He waits for better timing, fairer conditions, easier circumstances. He calls avoidance wisdom and delay strategy. But responsibility ignored does not disappear. It hardens. It returns later as regret. A man becomes reliable the moment he stops asking who is watching. Discipline practiced in secrecy builds a reputation long before words ever do. Showing up when tired, finishing what was started, speaking truth even when silence would be safer. These acts appear small, yet they forge the backbone others instinctively trust. Respect toward women begins here as well, not through performance or charm, but through stability. A man who governs his promises creates safety around him. He does not manipulate affection nor withdraw loyalty when inconvenience appears. Strength expresses itself through consistency. Protection is not dominance. It is responsibility accepted without resentment. Brotherhood follows the same law. Men recognize one another not by ambition, but by endurance. The brother worth standing beside is the one who remains when effort becomes uncomfortable. Loyalty is proven under strain, not celebration. Scripture frames this principle with unusual clarity. To whom much is given, much is required. Philosophers expressed it differently. The heavier the burden a man chooses, the taller he stands beneath it. Responsibility enlarges capacity. Excuses shrink it. Christ again appears not as distant theology, but as standard, washing the feet of others while carrying the weight of betrayal and consequence without retreat. Authority expressed through service rather than demand. A paradox the weak misunderstand and the disciplined recognize immediately. If you want respect, become dependable. If you want influence, become accountable. Kill the man who waits to be served, and the man capable of building, protecting, and leading begins to emerge. Some men wait for motivation. Others choose a line in the sand. If you are ready to rebuild discipline day by day, step into the 60-day challenge designed to restore order, restraint, and direction. The path is already prepared. Link pinned in the first comment. Law 3, Fortress of the Mind. Every battle a man loses begins long before action. It begins in permission, the moment he allows certain thoughts to remain unchallenged. Resentment rehearsed in silence. Comparison entertained without resistance. Fantasies of escape disguised as planning. The mind, left undefended, becomes a corridor through which weakness enters unnoticed. The old man thrives here. He does not require catastrophe, only distraction. Endless noise replaces reflection. Constant stimulation replaces clarity. A man surrounded by information but starved of silence slowly loses authority over himself. He reacts faster, thinks less, and mistakes emotion for truth. Dominion requires construction. A fortress is not built because danger is certain, but because danger is inevitable. Mental sovereignty begins with refusal, refusing gossip that poisons judgment, refusing envy that corrodes gratitude, refusing narratives that portray you as victim rather than participant. Many men believe courage is loud confrontation. Often it is quiet endurance, the discipline to sit alone with uncomfortable truths, to examine motives without self-deception, to correct direction without announcing it to the world. Order inside produces stability outside. Routine becomes the architecture of this fortress, rising when comfort argues otherwise, training the body even when enthusiasm disappears, reading what sharpens thought instead of consuming what dulls it. Repetition may appear ordinary, yet repetition shapes identity more reliably than inspiration ever could. Observe again the composure attributed to Christ during accusation and chaos. Surrounded by voices demanding reaction, yet refusing to surrender clarity. Calmness was not weakness, it was sovereignty. Pressure exposed nothing unstable because nothing unstable had been allowed to grow within. Guard what you think about when no one interrupts you. That is the direction your life is already moving. Kill the man who feeds chaos through imagination, and the man capable of clear judgment begins to see farther than fear ever allowed. Law 4. Brotherhood and Boundaries. No man becomes formidable alone, yet many are weakened by the company they refuse to leave. Brotherhood is not proximity. It is alignment. Shared laughter does not equal shared direction. The old man clings to familiarity even when it corrodes discipline. He fears solitude more than stagnation. A man's alliances determine the ceiling of his character. Spend enough time among cynicism and conviction begins to feel naive. Remain surrounded by avoidance and responsibility starts to look excessive. Influence moves quietly. Standards are absorbed long before they are consciously chosen. Brotherhood worthy of the name sharpens rather than comforts. It permits correction without humiliation. It demands honesty without cruelty. Real brothers do not applaud self-destruction disguised as freedom. They confront it. Loyalty is not agreement. It is commitment to one another's growth. Boundaries protect this environment. Many men confuse kindness with availability. They tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. They allow manipulation because refusal feels harsh. Yet every unguarded boundary teaches others how little you value your own time, word, and purpose. Strength does not require aggression. Calm refusal carries more authority than loud anger. The disciplined man does not explain endlessly or negotiate principles to maintain approval. He understands that peace purchased through compromise eventually becomes resentment. Respect toward women also deepens here. Boundaries create clarity. A man who knows what he stands for does not deceive affection nor exploit attention. Stability invites respect because predictability signals safety. Protection is not possession. It is the refusal to become chaotic in another person's life. Christ again reveals the pattern. Surrounded by crowds, yet withdrawing when purpose required solitude. Welcoming loyalty, but refusing manipulation. Compassion without surrendering direction. He chose companions deliberately, corrected them openly, and walked forward, even when many abandoned him. Kill the man who fears standing alone. The moment approval stops governing your decisions, brotherhood becomes genuine and respect begins to follow naturally. Law 5. Legacy over comfort. Comfort promises relief without cost. Legacy demands sacrifice without applause. Every man eventually chooses between the two, though few recognize the moment when the decision is made. It rarely appears dramatic. It happens in ordinary hours, when effort feels unnecessary, when shortcuts appear harmless, when silence would protect reputation more than truth. The old man lives for immediate ease. He measures success by how little resistance he encounters. He avoids responsibility that stretches him beyond convenience. Yet comfort has a hidden appetite. It expands until purpose disappears. A man who pursues only ease slowly becomes forgettable, even to himself. Legacy begins when a man accepts that his life is not only his own. Whether he fathers children or not, he leaves patterns behind. Younger men observe how he speaks, how he treats women, how he carries pressure, how he reacts when insulted or ignored. Standards travel through example long before instruction. Dominion, therefore, requires long vision, training the body when fatigue argues otherwise, guarding speech when anger would feel satisfying, choosing honesty when deception would remain undiscovered. These decisions accumulate quietly, forming a structure others eventually stand beneath. Sacrifice is often misunderstood as loss. In truth, it is exchange. Time exchanged for mastery, comfort exchanged for strength, pride exchanged for wisdom. The disciplined man understands that what he gives up today becomes freedom tomorrow. Christ stands again at the center of this law, not as fragile symbolism, but as the ultimate model of voluntary sacrifice. Power available, yet restraint chosen. Escape possible, yet purpose embraced. Strength revealed not through domination, but through endurance carried to completion. A paradox that unsettles the comfortable and steadies the serious. Legacy is not built in moments of inspiration. It is forged through decisions no one applauds. Kill the man who lives only for relief, and the man capable of building something that survives him finally takes responsibility for the years ahead. Dominion is not proven through intention. It is revealed through repetition. Begin where resistance appears smallest but most consistent. Wake at a fixed hour and keep it, especially when motivation disappears. Order your physical space before leaving it. Disorder tolerated outside eventually becomes disorder accepted within. Guard speech. Speak less, listen longer. Remove complaint from daily vocabulary. Words train thought. A man who constantly explains failure slowly believes his own excuses. Replace reaction with pause. Count a breath before answering anger or temptation. That single moment separates impulse from command. Train the body weekly, not for appearance, but for obedience. Physical effort reminds the mind that discomfort is survivable. Read something that sharpens judgment every day, even briefly. Feed attention with substance rather than endless distraction. Treat women with steadiness and clarity. Do not promise lightly. Do not withdraw respect when emotion changes. Reliability becomes protection long before strength is required. Finally, choose one difficult task each day and complete it without announcement. Silent victories accumulate. Kill the old man through action, not declaration, and dominion will begin to appear long before anyone notices. The old man rarely dies in a single moment. He retreats, waits, and returns whenever vigilance fades. That is why dominion is not an achievement, but an oath renewed daily. Every morning offers the same question. Will you negotiate with comfort, or will you become trustworthy to your own word? History remembers men who mastered circumstances. Heaven, philosophy, and conscience recognize something greater, the man who mastered himself. Strength is not loud, it is consistent. Honor is not declared, it is observed over time. Many begin searching for discipline through systems, strategies, or admiration from others. Eventually, they arrive at the same discovery. True authority is inseparable from sacrifice, restraint, and truth embodied without compromise. Long before some men know his name, they begin walking the pattern Christ revealed. Strength guided by purpose, power restrained by love, courage anchored in obedience to what is right. Kill the old man patiently, build the new one deliberately, because the man you become will either inherit your future or bury it.